Hello there, welcome again for another edition of the Books Knowledge Share. I am Jordan Stevens here, and I'm ready to share with you another book that I've been reading. As you probably know, if you've seen these videos before, I read quite a bit, but I also want to share that knowledge with you. I know some of you don't have as much time or really the inclination to read books, and I really just want to download some of this stuff for you because reading is great. Reading really inspires me, and I hope it inspires you as well. So, every week I'm covering a new book and giving you some tips and tricks from those books. So, hopefully, you are liking them. If you are, be sure to subscribe to the channel, or like and comment on the video. So, this week I got another book by Dr. Henry Marsh, who you may have seen in an earlier video that I created. This time is another wonderful memoir from him. So let me just tell you a little bit about Dr. Marsh, just in case you have missed the book from previous. And so Dr. Marsh is a leading English neurosurgeon and a pioneer of neurosurgical advances in the Ukraine. He so far has written 2 memoirs. This one that I'm going to cover this week called Admission, A Life in Brain Surgery. The previous one, which you can check out, is called Do No Harm, Stories of Life, Death, and Brain Surgery. It is another book that I've covered in the past, and I should definitely think you should check out that review as well. So, without further ado, let me talk to you a little bit about the book Admissions. I think you're going to get a lot out of this, as you did in the previous one, so here we go. All right. There are 3 things that I want to talk about in this book. So first of all, there would be no triumph without disaster. And so really what this means is that, we got to take some risks sometimes. Sometimes things don't go as they should, but a lot of times what happens is because of those disasters, we learn how to triumph over it. So really take life by the balls and just kind of go for it, Like, really don't be afraid of a challenge coming in front of you. Don't be afraid of the risks involved. Do know that, disasters happen and triumph happens because of those disasters. We learn to overcome because of the challenges that we overcome. All right? So give that a try. Another thing, this comes up quite a lot in psychology, but it's that the idea of loss aversion. And so, as humans, we are generally afraid of losing something as opposed to gaining something. So, for example, if I have a bet with you, and I bet that 50-50%, you're going to win $100, 50-50%. However, if I bet that 50-50 chance you will lose something, lose $100 instead of gaining something. Obviously, that's kind of a bad example, but we're more likely to avoid the opportunity of losing something than we are with taking the opportunity of winning something or gaining something. So we're very protective of what we already have. And this kind of goes into a little bit in terms of what the Dr. Marsh talked about, is a little bit about life. We want to protect life. We have life. And so we want to protect that. And sometimes it's not always in the best interest of it. And sometimes we end up suffering more because we're so afraid of loss. All right? So don't be afraid to lose things. In fact, be sure to give away a lot of stuff. And I think later on in the book, Dr. Marsh talked a lot about all the things that he has in life and all the things that he's, trying to get rid of and sort of downsize, if you will, as he retires and, moves out of his profession. And I think that's important. You got to think about, trying to be positive with the things that we're losing and try to look at opportunities and take those chances to go ahead with those opportunities instead of looking at the loss and looking at the chance for loss. We want to, try to maximize our gains rather than minimize our losses, right? So let's take a look at that. Let's look at the opportunities and look on the positive side of things. Finally, the last thing that I really wanted to impress upon you from this book is that we often underestimate the value of not doing something. and it comes up a lot in business for sure. Comes up a lot in healthcare. We often take a look at, what are the downsides of actually doing something? What is the downside of doing the surgery? What is the downside of going ahead with this proposal? What is the downside of competing in this event? However, we don't always recognize and look at the status quo and see, what is the downside of not doing anything? What is the downside of, what are the positives of not doing anything? And sometimes we forget that, the status quo is something that we need to look at. It may encourage us to actually take action, but it may actually be the right way to do things. As an innovator, as an entrepreneur, I don't necessarily want to encourage you to go with the status quo, but I do want to encourage you to make better decisions. And sometimes that means taking an objective look at the status quo and figuring out whether it is the right thing to do. So those are the 3 things that I got from the book. I want you to go check it out if you are interested. If you do check it out, or if you already have seen the book, be sure to let me know what you thought. Subscribe. Put some comments down below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know any insights that you got from it. And until next week, there is a place for you to subscribe to the channel up here. And of course, there are a couple other books for you to check out over here. So until next week, Jordan signing off. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.